I'm joined with Marshall Koval from Lumina Gold. Marshall, thanks for doing this.
Hey, Steve. Good to be with you today.
So one of the things I love asking guests on the show, especially at this Precious Metal Summit, is what's the buzz? What are people talking about? What's the sentiment?
Hey, the obvious one is the gold price. I mean, we're at $2,500 gold today. You look at companies that are producing, they're throwing off pretty enormous cash flow at this rate. I'm on the board of Equinox Gold, besides being in Lumina Gold, development company Equinox. We're doing real well with the gold price these days. So I think that's the main buzz. The second thing you hear is, why with this gold price so high, what's the disconnect with the equities? So you're seeing the majors move up a bit, the mid-tier producers move up some, but there's a gap between the developers, and that's kind of the space we're in Lumina Gold. So what we hope as we de-risk the project and as market sentiment improves and the gold price stays stable, you start to see the developers move up from an equity and market cap perspective.
So the one thing that I find kind of interesting is when we look at sort of what's happened with the price of gold is that we haven't seen, I think we've actually seen net negative ETF gold inflows.
Yeah.
Or so I guess we could say
Outflows.
Yeah. And it's kind of like we've sort of seen this quiet bull market with gold. You go on CNBC, they're a lot more likely to talk about Bitcoin still than they are about gold.
Yeah, and gold's, if you look at it in the longer term, it's outperformed, right? So what you still have is quite a bit of central bank buying of gold, even though China's backed off the last sort of 4 months or so. You're seeing Turkey and some other players step up, and Russia, and continue to buy. And, you know, that's kind of people looking at a potential gold standard for the BRICS. That's where you see some of that gold buying backing that. And now, whether we get there or not, we'll see.
Do you think that a gold standard by the BRICS could have much of an impact on the US dollar?
Yeah, I don't have a good gauge on that, but it definitely has the potential. I don't think we'll see the US or the Western world go to a gold standard again. If you look back historically, you know, the US was on a gold standard until the 70s, and I don't think we'll just get back there, even though the U.S. has the most gold reserves of any country in the world by far.
So let's turn the discussion to Lumina. I know we chatted recently over Zoom, but still there's going to be people in our audience who are going through our interviews this week. Can you just give us a quick high-level overview of the company?
Yeah, we're at the feasibility study with Congrejos. We completed in 2023 a pre-feasibility study that showed an NPV of $2.2 billion US at a discount rate of 5% and an IRR around 17%. That included about 11.6 million ounces of gold and 1.6 billion pounds of copper in that. We're doing a feasibility study now, and we're looking at a higher throughput initially. We're optimizing the project. But if you just go back to the pre-feasibility study, we used $1,650 gold. If you did a 20% up case, you end up with a $3.5 billion NPV, which is basically the long-term price for gold now, about $1,980. We're starting to see the analyst consensus. But if you come forward to spot price today, you're up about 4.5 billion NPV. Yet at the same time, we're trading at a very low, for a developer with such a large deposit, we're trading at a very low multiple.
So the question, I think anybody who's stumbling across this video and is maybe considering looking for gold names to invest in is, why is it so cheap? You guys have a market cap of, I believe, around 200 million. And here you're talking about a net present value of over $4 billion using today's gold price.
Yeah, it's a very good question. So I think one of the headwinds that you have, well, there's two headwinds that I point out. First, Ecuador, there's still a country risk issue, although that's evolved quite a bit better. We had Luminex Gold, we merged that with Venice, and Silvercorp just acquired us to build the El Domo mine. So Ecuador's moving forward in a good way as far as potential mine development, but we're in the developer space. So as the majors and the mid-tier producers have moved up better with the gold price moving up, the developers, there's a gap there. So it's Ecuador risk and it's the developer space in general are the two main drivers that I see for the lower valuation. But that's an investment opportunity on the upside. For as large a producer that we would be, roughly 500,000 gold equivalent ounces a year after the project's up and running over a 25-year mine life, we're severely undervalued. Now, every CEO is going to tell you that, but I can point to that and demonstrate it.
What's the long-term vision for Lumina Gold?
So we're right now in the middle of the feasibility study. That we're very advanced, more than the middle. It'll be completed at the end of the first quarter next year. We're in the process of negotiating the investment protection agreement with the government of Ecuador that sets the royalty rate, the tax rate, the duties for imports, that sort of thing. So that's well underway. And then we've started our EIS work now, and by the end of 2025, we hope to have had the public hearings and maybe even get the approval of the EIS. Those are the three drivers that get you to an operating permit for 25 years. So those are the three main things that we're pushing right now.
Okay, so we got to also ask you guys about your cap table. We see that Ross Beaty is heavily invested in the company.
Yeah.
How involved is Ross?
Ross is involved in the board meetings, and I talk to him frequently when we're looking at strategic things. He's the founder of the Lumina Group. I've been in Lumina Group companies with Ross since 2004, so the last 20 years. And our business plan is generally add value, de-risk these large projects. Being junior company, a lot of these projects are $1 billion plus initial capital, so we would look to move them on to somebody that would actually build and operate the project. But having said that, we have the capability in-house, if we can't get to a transaction, to build the thing ourselves, technically and all. So anyway, that's I think that's my comment.
Okay, so if I'm an investor watching this, what am I looking out for over the remainder of the year?
So we're going to have metallurgical test results at the feasibility level. Hopefully we'll have a news release that talks about the IPA agreement, the investment protection agreement with the royalty rates in it. We'll have some more news as far as the progress of the EIS, those sort of things.
All right, well, Marshall.
Feasibility study, obviously, in the end of the second quarter next year.
All right, well, Marshall, we appreciate you taking the time to do this. I think you got a really interesting project. Like we said, $4 billion net present value, only a couple $100 million market cap, which at this stage of the gold market, or the bull run, I think is very interesting for those equity investors. So if you're watching this, I think it's a name that's worth putting on your watch list. Thanks for doing this, Marshall.
Yeah, I'm going to take you on the road trip with me to promote it. Thanks a lot.